a Charlotte woman's mysterious death in Mexico. Shanquella Robinson died while she was on vacation with her friends.
And tonight, as the family prepares to say their final goodbyes, the FBI is now joining the investigation. Robinson's family says they were told she died from alcohol poisoning, but the autopsy report showed she died from a broken neck and spine.
Just under 12 hours, Shanquella Robinson's loved ones, her friends, and those who knew her best will gather here at Macedonia Baptist Church in West Charlotte for her funeral. It comes just a day after the Federal Bureau of Investigation announced it has opened a criminal investigation into a death that has captivated the country. As you mentioned tonight, we just spoke with Khadijah Vincent. She is one of Shanquella Robinson's closest friends. They've known each other since kindergarten. Women now, or early 20s rather. It was not long after she said she visited the funeral home to help prepare Shanquella's body. Despite her disbelief, shock, and anger, Khadijah says this week's developments in the case have been somewhat encouraging. Mexican officials released Shanquella's death certificate, and as Evan mentioned, it showed that she died of a broken neck and spine, not alcohol poisoning, as alleged by friends on the trip with Shanquella. Now, visitation for Shanquella's homegoing is scheduled for 11 a.m. The actual funeral will follow thereafter. Macedonia Baptist is located right on Hatteras Street, that is off of LaSalle Street in West Charlotte. Her mother has told us earlier in the week and reiterated again later in the week that the public is invited to attend.
Here's a brief look at how we got to this point. Shanquella Robinson traveled to Mexico with friends October 28th. The next day, she was killed. Her family says that they were told the cause was alcohol poisoning. It wasn't until almost 3 weeks later, November 16th, that Channel 9 got a hold of the death certificate. It did not mention alcohol poisoning. Instead, it said Robinson died from an injured neck and spinal cord. That was Wednesday. Yesterday, we learned an attorney general in Mexico started investigating her death as a killing. And today, Channel 9 learned the FBI has opened an investigation into this case. Channel 9 will stay on top of every development and bring it to you on air and on our free WSOC News app.
First thing first, my condolences go out to this family. I lift them up in prayer. All of us should do the same. And whatever we can do, may it be coming together with our family, our church members, our community, and raising awareness of the situation, as well as raising funds or being able to find some kind of way to give support to this family outside of just prayer. Let's do it. First thing first, Miss Robinson should have never lost her life. She's someone's daughter, someone's niece. She's someone's aunt. She's someone's friend. She was young. She went out, hanging out with a group of people, which from what I've read in reports, one of the guys, meaning one of them that were heckling in the background, they were on her when her mother was suggesting her not to go, and he was the one pressuring and pushing and telling them, come on, let her go. This mother will never see her daughter get married. She'll never meet the grandchildren she should have had. She will never see her young little girl grow up to be a grown woman, to be a mother to her own children. She will never have moments to reminisce about her daughter when she is of an older age, in her 40s and her 50s, seeing her own granddaughter be able to get married, graduate college, do what we do. That was taken from her. And not just from the mother that carried her, that raised her, that fed her and clothed her. Now, granted, I don't know Miss Robinson, and I don't know the people that are involved in this situation. I don't know if she was someone that was aware that they were her frenemies or not. And this is why I'm a strong believer. I don't care to have a frenemy. If you give me any ounce or anything that tells me that you can care less for me, that you don't respect me in the way or in the level that I respect you, I keep you at a distance, especially when it's involved in situations where you have no choice because you're at work or whatever. But anything outside of that, no, I don't need you in my life. I just don't. I'm very leery of people like that. But then we have to remember that for a person to be so diabolical and so dark and disgusting, for them to be at a level where they invited just people who think and feel the way that they do. If you think that these women worked alone, I promise you they didn't. The fact that specimens could be in the presence of women who are basically weaker in strength, didn't have enough dominance to stand up and say, this is wrong. But see, these women knew exactly what kind of men they were inviting. These men who came together and allowing this type of injustice happening. There comes a time where you have to understand right is right and wrong is wrong. In a company of people that can let loose in such a level that has no care, honor, or respect for human life, while they chuckle, record, and have this woman naked, intoxicated. There's nothing you could tell me. I believe that in the way that you see her in this video, chances are they probably placed something that is unable to be detected. Because there are drugs out there. Seeing that they said that one of these women were a nurse, it wouldn't shock me if she was able to do 2 + 2 to make 4 in the system of this woman. This woman's spinal cord was detached. I could only imagine the mother having to look into a casket of her own baby that she had to carry, that she saw, smile, talk to, see her progress in life, and to know that everything was taken from her and taken from her daughter and taken from the future for the both of them and their whole entire family because of these vile and disgusting people. Do I believe that justice will be served and done in America? No. But I strongly suggest that as people, we need to come together and back up Mexico so they can throw a book at them. I don't care if Mexico makes them an example, because I sincerely feel like that will be the only way that this family will get the justice that they so do deserve. I may not get along with a lot of people, but at the end of the day, as a child of God, we start to value people. Why? Because God values people. He values life. He gave it to us. We all have an assignment. We all are like threads that are intertwined to one another. Though we are all threads, each of us have a significant role, a significant assignment that can change a life. But this and what these people, these disgusting, vile demons decided to do against this woman, I can care less if it had to do with her dating an ex-boyfriend or you felt like she was prettier than you or whatever nonsense. Because 9 out of 10 times, this is what it is. It's always something that you can walk away from. But that's not what they chose to do. Unless my life is being threatened and you're fighting to take my life, I can never see myself taking someone's life. Having to look down in that casket, I can only imagine. I've been to more funerals than I can count at a young age. And even me as a grown woman, I wouldn't wish that or wish death on anyone. And to use your bare hands, to take someone's life, to video them, to go so far as to belittle them, embarrass them, and then to go with the lie between your corroded, disgusting teeth to utter words like alcohol poisoning? Did you really think the country of Mexico would be so stupid not to be able to put 2 and 2 together? You didn't think no autopsy would be done, or were you hoping that the body would be cremated and sent over? I feel that because justice is not always fair in America, and not just in America, but just the way the justice system does not even protect women at all. Though we are made in God's image too. We have an assignment too. We have a calling for our lives too. God values us too. But the world just doesn't. And because Mexico is a foreign country, and the way that a foreign mindset thinks when they think about a life is not the same in so many ways that America sees life. I promise you, it's just not. And I know that by that alone, what needs to happen is they need to be extradited. The book need to be thrown at all of them. I don't care whether you placed a hand on this woman or not. The fact that you were there recording, heckling, I told her to fight and all of that. Like, this was a defenseless woman that was intoxicated, brought out of false pretense. The amount of force and not just the force, the amount of hatred it takes to detach someone's spine. Miss Robinson could be any one of us. Miss Robinson could be any one of our children, any one of our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, our uncles, our fathers. Miss Robinson is not just anybody. She's us. I don't know if they thought people were going to look at this as nobody's going to really care because she's Black. But I thank God that that's not the message that's being received. And I pray that they are extradited, shipped off to Mexico, and Mexico throws the book at them, even if it means making them the example for all of the world to know that though we have issues, just like every other country has issues, you are not going to pile on any of your nonsense on our laps. And not just in Mexico, it should be that same statement in America too. And laws need to be enforced. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to come together and enforce laws where women are protected, just like men are protected. Do you know the statistics on stalking, especially towards a woman, sex trafficking towards a woman, abuse towards a woman, mentally, verbally, physical abuse? If you don't think that doesn't carry weight, because that same woman, and if you don't think it doesn't affect her life, that same woman's going to be a mother. She's already broken, especially if she didn't get the proper healing, the proper tools to get better. And I'm not saying that this is the case. I really wish that this had never happened. I really wish that this had never happened to her. I really wish that this had never happened to her family. But it did. And that's what's hurtful. Is that 9 out of 10 times she probably thought she was safe because there were men there. There were women there. And the fact that women are going to a level of violence that is just beneath the very values, virtue, conduct, will, and the ways of God. Like, I'm talking about under the gutter. I do definitely commend NBA ball player from Brooklyn Nets, Irving, for donating $65,000, and he did that on Friday night to help pay for the expenses and the legal fees for the family. What I would like to see happen, because let's just be clear, America doesn't have a fair justice system. I don't sincerely feel that justice will be served in the way that it ought to, in the way that it should. Had it not been for social media, it makes me wonder just how the end result will be. That Mexico will make a prime example of these people, all of them, including the men that were in the background heckling. Because it has to take a very sinister type of individual to first plan an event for someone to go out of the country. First of all, you have to be a sinister, downright evil, demonic, possessed individual to befriend someone you really didn't care for. And though a lot of people say, well, I hear so many different things swirling. But see, when you got somebody that is so dark and sinister, and their goal is to do harm, not to try to hurt you and embarrass you. I'm talking about they live and breathe wanting to do harm against you. They know how to be in shape-shifting and being whatever and whoever they need to be to keep you in their presence long enough to do the kind of bodily harm that they need to do against you. And this right here is a classic example. Is justice always fair? No. And I guess it explains the symbol of why Lady Justice is blindfolded with a scale in her hand. I'm wondering, with the book of knowledge she has in her arm, that she has cuffed so close to her chest, I'm hoping that will run into effect in Mexico. Secondly, I sincerely feel as a Black woman, that's going to be the only time and the only way that that mother will receive actual, true, and real justice. And quite honestly, I'm sure there's a lot of information that's going to be coming out down the line, and there's going to be quite a lot of information that is going to go from the public. I sincerely feel that justice wouldn't be served in the way that it should if it was done in America. I'm just honest. That's my honest opinion. The fact that these people went ahead and set up this event, brought her suitcase, took her money, the bodily harm that was done to her body, it's impossible for me to believe it was just a woman who's done this. Now, I heard things circulate where they say it's actually a transgender or whatever. I can care less. At the end of the day, everyone that was involved needs to be made a prime example of. And wrong is wrong. You take the life of someone else's child. What needs to happen is justice really needs to be served. And I really commend the government of Mexico for not brushing this off and choosing to make this situation a situation that is going to resound across not just the United States amongst Americans, but everyone across the world, that though we have our issues like every other country does, you're not going to add on to our issues. You come here to vacation, but what you're not going to do is you're not going to come here to take someone's life. This is someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's aunt, someone's friend. As long as we continue having evil and people making excuses for that and not understanding just how these demons fester, how these things just come in and provoke and add in and just cloud your train of thought and judgment and just get involved in doing the type of things we see. The guys too, if it don't apply, let it fly. I'm not understanding why I'm seeing so many men, especially Black men, choosing to be poster boards of nonsense and behaviors that's unbecoming of a man, let alone being well beneath the value, the virtue, and the nature and conduct on which God has created you to be. You're meant to dominate. This is for those that will rather pull out a phone than to action. Don't want to step up and do the thing that you need to do. And this also goes towards women too, because I see a lot of women only feeding into it, but they also want to maintain this ridiculous mindset. If you don't like anyone or you can't stand somebody, who are you to take their life? If you don't like someone, stay away from them. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to allow vile or evilness of others or whatever the agenda to change who God has made me to be. In order for justice to be served, I strongly suggest that we do back up the authority of those in Mexico, and we do back up and support the family and let justice be prevailed. Because if it's done in America, I promise you, this family is not going to get justice. This is a woman who was murdered in she didn't even hit 26. All they have now is their memories and postings of social media with an attachment of her murder. And the gall of the people, these gutless, vile, disgusting, voided individuals. This is quite obvious they planned this. There are particular people that when we see these type of things happen, there's a reason why they don't like people who have values and have morals, and they stick by them. They know the difference between right and wrong. It's about doing what is right. And this is why when these type of particular people are around certain people, they can't stand them, because those type of people are never around in these type of situations. I can't go and take someone's child overseas to try to murder them when I know someone's going to be right there to say no. We need to start putting pressure. We need to start applying pressure to those that receive a paycheck in government and enforcing and creating laws against brutality, murder, any and all kind of things, stalking. It doesn't take much to hurt someone and to kill someone. It doesn't take much. You can see that this was excessive force. It wouldn't shock me after the investigation is done that more of this brutal, heinous crime that took place with these people be more than what we see right now. But I promise you, women and men, we need to come together. We need to start fighting for real justice and start fighting for fairness when it comes to the law, that when a man or woman wants to do harm against another man or woman, that justice is served. It's not blind with an imbalanced scale. That's all I'm saying. And Lord knows how many other families of young sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, going through something similar to this, and they're not even heard. And this is how, when you utilize social media, is that, let's just face it, media doesn't care to cover when it's dealing with minority issues. I definitely thank God for guiding this family in the way and utilizing the internet in the way that it ought to, so that we are brought to awareness. And then similar stories like this can also be brought to awareness, because this got to stop. Fakeness of it all, of wanting to be close to someone to do harm. The type of rage it takes to disconnect someone's spinal cord. Think of that. I can only imagine having to be the sister, the friend, the mother, anyone who would have to be there at the funeral home, to have to look at that body. That's a life that's lost for no good reason. Justice must be served.